Good morning. Thank you for being here. I will be providing you with an update on the Bruce McArthur investigation, where we have been, where we are now, and where we are going. As you know, on January the 18th, Bruce McArthur was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in relation to the deaths of Salim Essen and Andrew Kinsman. Since then, we have continued our investigation, including searches of numerous properties associated to Mr. McArthur, a review of material evidence, and interviews with dozens of people, many of whom have come forward to us. I do want to offer some clarity on the intersection between Projects Houston, PRISM, and the homicide cases. We know the community has been and continues to be deeply concerned about these past investigations, specifically the seriousness with which we looked at these cases. Houston, which ran from November of 2012 until April of 2014, identified 3 missing persons from the gay village and took thorough steps to try and locate 40-year-old Skanda Navaratnam, who was last seen on September 6, 2010 in the area of Church and Wellesley, 42-year-old Abdul Basir Faizi, otherwise known as Basir, who was reported missing to Peel Regional Police on December 29th of 2010. He was last seen in the area of Church and Wellesley, and 58-year-old Majeed Kayhan, also known as Hamid, who was last seen on October 14th, 2012, and was known to frequent the area of Church and Wellesley. This project included the canvassing of hospitals and shelters, reviewing video surveillance, conducting ground and water searches, interviews, and searches of online and cell phone activity, just to name a few of the investigative steps. At the conclusion of the project, no evidence was found which would classify anyone as a suspect in any criminal offense relating to the disappearances. On August the 14th last year, Project PRISM was formed specifically to investigate the disappearances of Andrew Kinsman and Salim Essen. The project team includes members of Project Houston. Although Project PRISM's focus was not to reinvestigate the 3 earlier missing men, the investigators were certainly cognizant and mindful of the occurrences. In September of 2017, Mr. Bruce McArthur was identified by Project PRISM investigators as someone to be included or excluded as being involved in the disappearance of Andrew Kinsman. Further steps were taken between September and January of 2018 to investigate Mr. McArthur. Public safety was always our top priority. On Wednesday, January the 17th, investigators uncovered evidence which provided them with grounds to believe that Mr. McArthur was not only responsible for the death of Andrew Kinsman, but was also responsible for the death of Mr. Essen. Further evidence was uncovered which led investigators to believe that Mr. McArthur was responsible for the deaths of other unidentified victims. On Thursday, January the 18th, Mr. McArthur was arrested by members of Project PRISM. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder in relation to Mr. Kinsman and Mr. Essen. Today, Mr. McArthur was brought back before the courts. Mr. McArthur has now been charged with 3 additional counts of first-degree murder. These new charges are in relation to the murders of Majeed Kayhan, Soroush Marmudi, and Dean Lisowick. I will spell those names for you. Majeed Kayhan, M-A-J-E-E-D, K-A-Y-H-A-N, Soroush Marmudi, S-O-R-O-U-S-H, M-A-R-M-U-D-I, and Dean Lisowick, D-E-A-N-L-I-S-O-W-I-C-K. Majeed Kayhan was one of the males whose disappearance was investigated by Project Houston. Soroush Marmudi was 50 years old when he was reported missing in Scarborough by his family in 2015. Dean Lisowick was never reported as missing, but we believe that he was murdered between May of 2016 and July of 2017. Dean was born in 1973 and would have been 47 years old at the time of his death. Investigators continue to search the residence of Mr. McArthur at 95 Thorncliffe and a residence at 53 Mallory, which Mr. McArthur used for storage. Assistance from outside agencies, including the Ontario Provincial Police, Ontario Forensic Pathology Services, and the Centre of Forensic Sciences, is being utilized to search these premises. To date, the dismembered remains of at least 3 individuals have been recovered from the backyard of the residence at 53 Mallory Crescent. These remains have not yet been identified. As has been previously reported, Mr. McArthur earned his living as a landscaper. Investigators have identified approximately 30 properties within Toronto where Mr. McArthur worked. We have contacted owners of these properties and have conducted searches at the majority of them. If anyone who has employed Mr. McArthur as a landscaper at their residence in the past is not contacted by investigators, I would ask that you contact us as soon as possible so that we can make arrangements to search your yards and gardens. I thank all of these homeowners for their ongoing cooperation, and I wish to assure them that we will respect their privacy. Dozens of tips have poured in via Crime Stoppers, via our dedicated tip line, 416-808-2021, emails, and voicemails. Tips have come in from around the world. We are actively following up on all of these tips and encourage anyone with any information to contact us as soon as possible. Mr. McArthur is alleged by investigators to have committed the 5 murders. The case is now before the courts. We know that many in the community are struggling to understand and process these developments. We would encourage you to talk to your friends and loved ones. Our LGBTQ liaison officer, Daniel Bontenot, who's here today, and the service's LGBTQ Community Consultative Committee are available to anyone who requires support. Lastly, I want to thank those who have come forward. If anyone has not heard from us or they have information related to Mr. McArthur, please call us at any of the previously mentioned numbers or via Crime Stoppers or the Homicide Squad.
Sergeant Idsinga, is it fair now to call Bruce McArthur an alleged serial killer?
It is, yes.